page.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 136 of the Jax Rudolph podcast. I'm your host, Jax Rudolph, and today we welcome the newly crowned men's sparring Warrior Cup champ, Tyson Wray, and of course his dad and coach, the great Jessie Wray. So excited to have you guys on the show. Jessie, I know that you had an awesome time with the guys on Inside Scoop last night, so really excited to get to hear from the both of you and hear about this crazy weekend that went down at the AK Warrior Cup. By the way, the most well-attended Warrior Cup in history. Hunter Lion, Sensei Sharky, and their whole team absolutely crushed it from a karate tournament standpoint as well as from a production standpoint. It was an honor for me to get to be a part of that crew, and especially an honor to call some of these legendary fights featuring some huge names. We're going to talk about Tyson fighting against Avery, then Kevin Walker, going through two Warrior Cup champs to ultimately get your first Warrior Cup. So I got to start simple. Tyson, how's this feel, my man?
First, thank you for having me on the show, man. It's an honor. Sport Karate Zone, one of the best. Capturing all the moments in the AK Warrior Cup this weekend was amazing. But man, I'm still on cloud nine. This is kind of like a dream for me, like from being a little kid, seeing Ross Levine win many Warrior Cups, seeing actually Kevin Walker win Warrior Cup, seeing Avery win 4. It just honestly just actually seeing one of my teammates, Darren Stacks, ex-teammate, win a Warrior Cup 2 years ago. This is just a surreal moment for me, and honestly a dream come true. So I'm still cloud nine.
As expected, right? And thank you, of course, for your kind words about Sport Karate Zone. And by the way, everybody that's tuning in, like Jackson, where's our videos at on YouTube? It's going to be a minute. I'm working on processing everything. We were thinking we had like 150 videos, but it's looking like we're going to break the 200 mark. Still working on getting everything sorted. So hopefully by the end of this weekend, we'll be able to get everything up. But anyway, on the flip side of that, Jessie, I know it's got to be a unique feeling for you as well. You've had students like Kareem Abdullah, formerly known as Darren Payne, right? You've had him win a Warrior Cup, but I know it's got to be different going from a student to not only a student, but also blood, right? So tell us a little bit about how you have felt this last 48 hours.
Yeah, it's been it's rewarding. It's rewarding, the hard work that we put in time after time, and getting on the fellas, staying on top of their case, and seeing everything come into real time and to fruition. It's just a satisfying feeling. And watching all of these guys, he grew up watching Ross and Avery and all these guys, and as did Darren as well. And to finally see them get their moment, man, it can't be replaced.
Absolutely.
The feeling.
You guys know me. I'm a huge sport karate nerd. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to dive into the fights themselves. Tyson, I want to get a glimpse inside your mind and see what you were seeing in some of these fights, because I know from the booth compared to on the TV screen for those watching from home, compared to especially what's going on in your head, everything's going to be a different, unique perspective. So we're going to dive into what was actually going on in those fights in the finals first, and then we'll fill in with a little bit of the backstory. So, Tyson, take us through that very first fight against Avery. Leading up to that, that's going to be the matchup before the night show. He's a heavyweight. He's Avery. He's a 4-time Warrior Cup champ. Just tell us a little bit about what your mindset is going into that. As a fighter, are you one of those guys that believes in yourself no matter what? Or are you one of those guys that, looks at your competition and says, well, we got to be careful here?
Honestly, as a winner, as a competitor, I'm always thinking I'm confident in my skills and just my ability to win. That's always the first thing going through my mind. But matching up against somebody legendary like Avery, I know I had to be very precise and strategic, and it just wasn't a lot of mistakes that I was going to be able to make throughout the match. Honestly, my game plan was just to kind of stay elusive, not let him lock in on me, just because I know Avery has a very fast reverse punch, back fist, whatever technique is very quick. So honestly, just want to never really stay in front of him and kind of just make it hard for him to hit me. And yeah, I just knew that I couldn't throw back fist, because if I threw a back fist, it was getting blocked 90% of the time. So I was thinking let go of my reverse punch, and throughout the match, the game plan, it started to click, and the vision of just scoring just became way easier throughout the match. So honestly, that's really it. I was just very confident in the training I've been doing, and how I've been feeling throughout the whole weekend. I just kind of wanted to build on that momentum in that match.
For sure. And I think that's a testament to what anybody should feel, whether you're a fighter or a forms and weapons competitor. Like, if you've made it that far and you're going into that Final Four, you're going into that Warrior Cup final round for a forms and weapons competition, you should go in there believing that you're going to be the one who wins it. Because if you're not going in with that mentality, you're doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying? And so you talk about kind of executing the game plan once you got in the ring. But I found out last night that you and Avery had never fought in all the open weight brackets that the random shuffle works out. And obviously you guys are typically winning multiple fights each and getting pretty deep in the bracket. I was shocked that the two of you had never shared the ring with each other. So in that first experience sharing the ring, did anything surprise you, or did you feel like things kind of went as you expected and that's part of the reason the strategy worked out?
I just think he was way quicker and way way more built, when you're standing in front of him, because I feel like every time he did hit me, I didn't really see it coming. Like, it was just one of those, like, oh dang, he's actually fast. You know what I mean? Especially he's a heavyweight. And every time I did throw my body punch, if you have to go back and watch the fight, like the last 30 seconds, I called time for a medic, and my shoulder kind of like, it didn't like snap out of place, but I guess I caught a little strain just because he was pushing my arm so far behind my head that my shoulder couldn't take the pain. So
the weight difference.
Yeah, that weight difference was definitely a factor. Yeah, those are definitely two of the things that surprised me.
Sure. And I feel like that's something we don't talk about often enough in sport karate. Like, in my opinion, the most marketable thing about point sparring is that it is the only combat sport that any weight can go against any weight, because we're not a knockout sport, despite some things that happened this weekend, but we're not a knockout sport, right? And so one of the special things is that we're a combat sport that we can have these David Goliath, heavyweight, lightweight matchups. And so I love the fact that the Warrior Cup Final Four has it structured to where the heavyweight overall grand champ and the lightweight overall grand champ are one of those semifinals, because it guarantees that we're going to get one of those type of matchups. And so, Jesse, as you hear Tyson, go ahead.
That's why I bought in the VFT last man standing to a lot of the events, because we were missing that David and Goliath match that everybody wanted to see. Tyson.
As an aside, Jesse, when are we getting our next last man standing? When's it coming back?
Oh man, I was just talking to the Roofs, so you might see it in Atlanta. So we might see it in Atlanta, but before that, probably Ocean State. We usually do it there. So we'll be back in the mix.
That's awesome. I'll be hyped for it. And so, Jesse, as you're hearing Tyson break all this down and talking about, being surprised by kind of the size, the speed, all the things that, when you're standing outside the ring, but it's totally different when you're standing across from somebody like that, right? For you, Jesse, sitting in the coach's chair, what were you seeing as that fight started to evolve?
Look, Avery is not a lot of people got wins on Avery. That's not a person that a lot of different names could say they beat. The kid comes from a bloodline of winners. Avery, you got Morgan, you got Richard Plowden, all have Warrior Cups, all have diamonds, all have whatever we consider prestigious in the sport. So we knew this was going to be a tough match. As I'm watching the match, though, I don't know. I pulled my phone out before time, and I never do this. And I filmed the beginning. I filmed them going on stage, and I filmed because it was like a different feeling this weekend. That Tyson was fighting different. Tyson was energy was different. So I had a good feeling, man. His mindset and the training he's been doing, and he spent a month in Europe just doing some training out there. And he's been on top of it. So I don't know if you've seen the team fight. He really was pushing this weekend. So I felt something different. So watching the fight, I knew he was going to go out there and give it his best. And we talked about a little game plan, some things that we knew. But the best weapon was never fighting Avery, because there was no like adjustments, only what you see on film, but they actually never fought. So we were confident about trying to exploit certain things.
And talking about how hot Tyson was coming into the fight and that weekend just feeling different. I mean, it's something I mentioned in the commentary when Tyson was coming on stage. I'm like, and I even said he's been red hot all weekend long. And I think where it really struck me, I saw it in the team fights, but then by the time I watched you fight Oscar Garcia for the lightweight overall, it was for the overall, right?
Yes,
By the time I saw that fight happen, I was like, Tyson is locked in on another level than what we've ever seen him before. And that's what kind of gave me an inkling that maybe this was going to be a special night for you. And then as we close out the Avery fight, there was a little bit of weirdness, not weirdness that affected the outcome per se or anything like that, but just like having to stop and restart and a few seconds being added. And obviously Avery being down, kind of being frustrated by that, try to get off the line immediately. So Tyson, in your shoes, as the guy that's up, 2 points, I believe it was, in those closing seconds, when a few seconds kind of keep getting added and you guys keep getting brought back to the center. Obviously, there's a lot of chaos there that the heart's got to be pumping, right? But put us inside your mind. What are you thinking to keep you calm or to stay on top of your strategy? Like, what's going through your head? And in real time, what was probably 20 or 30 seconds, but in fight time, it was the last, 6 or 7.
Yeah. Honestly, through those moments, I was honestly thinking like close out the match. I was up 1, and then I think Avery started before Holly said go, so she brought us back. But then she brought us back 5 seconds. The time was still going, but he went before the go, so she brought us back 5 seconds. But in those 5 seconds, I scored. So then I went up 2 points. And honestly, in those situations, I honestly feel most comfortable just because I know I have good footwork. And the person is gonna try to catch me, and they're not really thinking defense. They're mostly thinking offense. So that means I can be offensive and actually score with the best technique. So honestly, in those moments, I feel very calm, and honestly, that's what I do just because of I use my footwork a lot. But yeah, so I went up 2 with 5 seconds, but then the time never started again. So we ran it back again. So it was 3 seconds on the clock, and then I was up 3 seconds. I knew Avery was gonna kick. So the first thing I was thinking is either I have to spin, I could walk out of bounds, but I don't really want to do that. I want to end the match in a good fashion, inbounds, with contact. So I was just thinking, go under his leg. He's definitely gonna kick, so why not go under his leg, get to the other side of the ring, and if you could score. And that's just how it went.
That's a good point though, because when it's a little bit of time and you're down, the person is coming offensive minded only, usually like quick time, and not expecting that another offense may come. So Tyson usually gets a good movement and strikes and exposes that. So yeah, he's good with that.
And I thought that those were 2 great, like, subtle highlights at the end of both the semifinal and the final. In the semifinal, you duck under Avery's leg on the last clash. And then in the final, you even had it. I think Kevin tried to come in and blitz as like a desperation last score. And you had a nice sidestep to get away from that, right? And so it really was
like a side kick, and I kind of like side angle.
Maybe it was. I remember you sidestepped. I don't remember what he threw.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but it was 2 good little kind of defensive highlights there. That's a good segue to now start talking about that final fight, going into now a 2-round match against Kevin, another guy that's won Warrior Cups before. He had a great storyline coming into it, being 9 years removed from the first Warrior Cup that he won back when he was an All-Star. And then you, of course, gunning for your first one. And so going through that first round, wound up ending in, I think it was a 2-2 draw, right? How much of that first round is just kind of data collection, trying to see what he's going to throw? And Tyson, from your perspective, talk us through what you were seeing in that first round. And then from Jessie, I want to hear what was being said in the chair in between rounds.
So if for anybody that doesn't know, me and Kevin actually fought 2 times prior to that fight at the Warrior Cup. So we fought in open weight. He actually got me by 1 point overtime. And we fought in team fighting, but my team was up a good amount of points. So, that match was less strategic, and he was just more trying to, rack up points. So, Yeah, so Kevin actually beat me one time this weekend, so I kind of was aware of, the type of fight we were going to have leading up to the finals. Kevin is also somebody that can also kick, punch, and move at a very high level. So I knew that our match would definitely be intense and, definitely a close match. So honestly, I was just thinking that first round, I was just thinking I gotta put some pressure on him. So we fought open weight, and I wasn't putting like enough pressure on him. I was kind of taking the fight a little slow, and it was one round, so I definitely should have picked up the pace. So in the nighttime show, I was just thinking, I got to pick up the pace a little bit. Kevin is actually 30 years old now, so he's getting a little older. So I know, that gas tank is definitely not the same, or is definitely not on the level that mine is, just because of my youth. So I was just thinking, man, I got to pick up the pace. So I did that, but Kevin fought a very smart first round. I think we both did, and it came out 2-2. So
for sure.
Sweet.
So it sounds like Tyson pretty comfortable after the end of that first, happy with the volume, recognizing that Kevin was probably going to have some answers. And so Jesse, he comes over to the chair. What are you saying to him?
So before that, Kevin had possibly two entries into the Warrior Cup.
Yeah.
He was in the 160s, right? So since Alex couldn't continue, he automatically got back in through the open weight slot. So Tyson won 150s, so it was Tyson and Kevin. But Kevin decided to bow out to Tyson, right? So that was a thing for me, like, okay, the tank is being reserved. That's a veteran move, smart. Because God forbid if he would have lost in his mind, you just exerted a lot of energy, and then you got to go back into the finals and do it again. So he already had a way in. So when Tyson came back to the chair, I'm like, especially after round one, pick up the pace, like use your attributes, stay close to him, force the action on every single play. If we're gonna go out, we're gonna go out shooting the three. or shooting a shot, period. So just keep gunning, but fully aware that Kev is dangerous. I don't believe that 30, your tank is going out of. I'm not with that. Kevin is still Kevin. Kevin had some great wins this weekend. He had some great wins this weekend. So he's still dangerous, but at the same time, I know what Tyson is capable. So I just say, keep the pace, push the pace, and let's see what happens.
One other thing, throughout that first round, I was Kevin's coach, Tyreek Saint. He was like, I don't know what it was, but he was like calling everything that I was about to do. So I'm in front of Kevin. I was about to blitz, and he was like, "Watch the blitz." And it kind of was, it was kind of getting to me a little, because I'm like, his voice is so loud. It's like I wasn't hearing anything else but Tyreek's voice. It was just so weird, because he's calling out like everything I was about to do before I was about to do it. And that's just because, he's a great competitor of mine. We fight each other a lot. We fought each other this weekend.
I had to say, tune out the coach. Just, they see it, they still got to stop it. So tune out the coach and just run your program.
And honestly,
because sometimes the coach yells that not for his player, to deter you from doing it. That's a strategy too. Right. Mr. Plowden used to do that a lot. He coaches for the other person to hear.
For sure.
And honestly, during that round one break, going to the second round, that's all I remember my dad telling me. Just stop listening to Tyreek. Whatever he's saying, just stop listening. Just block it out. And in that round two, I completely blocked it out. Didn't hear one word. So definitely changed the momentum of the fight.
I love that. And I love getting that perspective, because that's something that I want like casual sport karate fans to start to understand more, is the level of strategy that goes into not only point fighting, but being in the coach's chair, like there's so much about a fight that you can influence from the coach's chair that it's because a lot of people think like, oh, well, don't fighters just go in there and like lock in on their opponent? And like, because the vast majority of NASCAR fights, there's just one round. So it's not like you're going back to the chair, making adjustments, going back out, right? It's just you're in the moment for 2 minutes. And I'm like, no. You don't understand how much can be done from that coach's chair. Not everybody does it, but the great ones do, right? And so I love, Jesse, you kind of sharing that perspective of
absolutely
the way that people call things out. And also, hey, if Tyreek was picking up on everything Tyson was about to do, shout out Tyreek.
That was crazy. Honestly, it was crazy.
Yeah. That is a big psychological coaching move that a lot of coaches do. They'll scream at the top of their lungs for you to hear, and then the fighter will hesitate and not do it, and then go to something else, but now they're not fighting their regular game. So, yeah, shout out to all the coaches, man. Like I said, Richard Plowden was a master at that.
That's awesome. And so, Tyreek, going back into that final fight, we get into the second round, and Kevin lands a couple of kicks, right? Goes up 2 and then 3 points on 2 separate occasions. But each time he starts to maybe look like he might try to pull away. You stay patient. You keep attacking with your hands. There was no like huge highlight spinning hook kick that swayed the momentum. It was discipline, right? And that's something that I think, especially like skilled high-level fighters, sometimes when you feel yourself, the point starting to slip away, people feel like they need that stick of dynamite to swing the momentum back. Sure. And one thing that I noticed, and you kind of did this throughout the weekend, but you really showcased it in that final fight, was there was a maturity about the way that you handled being down and just kind of taking your time, being disciplined and battling back with the basics. Talk a little bit about the mindset. And this time, if you could share it from the perspective of like advice for young fighters that, that you start to see those points tick away and the clock's running down, and how do you manage that anxiety that comes with somebody, trying to develop some momentum like that? Please share your thoughts about what was going on in your head and maybe give some advice about how young fighters can handle that.
First, thank you for that compliment. I've definitely been working on that, just kind of, staying patient and just kind of maturing my game in all aspects. But honestly, it's just because I honestly been in that situation before. I know I've lost when, I was down 2 and I had to kind of come back, but I rushed it a little, too much. So I gave up 2 more. So now I'm down 4. So just being used to that situation and just being comfortable, being down a point or 2, even maybe 3. I looked at the clock. It was about 45 seconds left, which is way more than enough time. That could be 3 punches. That could be a kick and a punch. That could be 2 kicks and, it's tie game or you're up 1. So also I have to give thanks to my dad because growing up, even now, we do a lot of situational drills where I'm down 5 with 30 seconds left on the clock, and I'm fighting Anthony Merrick's, James Poor, D Stacks in the dojo. So those situations in the dojo help me prepare for when it's in real life time. Even like 10 seconds down 3, you got to get a jump spin kick or a quick side kick and then a blitz after. So those situations definitely prepared me for when it was actually time to execute. I was ready to execute. But honestly, I just think staying patient and just remembering what got you to that position, how you scored all your points, seeing the change in energy. I noticed after those 2 kicks, maybe it didn't take a lot of energy out of Kevin, but I definitely noticed a shift in his pace. He got a little comfortable. He stopped, coming forward with his leg a little bit. And I still had that that young energy, and I was still pushing the pace. I knew that was the only thing I could do. So honestly, I just think staying calm, trying to stay as patient, and just remembering what got you to that position, and just kind of adjusting to the way the fight is going. Honestly,
sure. And I love you talk about kind of that glimpse inside the dojo of the situational drills that you guys will do, especially like in situations where you're kind of in dire straits. Like that 10 seconds left, down 3, you don't have a whole lot of options. But the fact that you're actually drilling that is what's giving you an opportunity to do something about it, right? So Jesse, as the mastermind putting together the drills, right? Give us the glimpse in the dojo from your perspective, and also talk about how special it is to have that much talent, to have a guy like James Poor, who's a diamond ring winner, to have a guy like Anthony Merrick, who's always in the mix with the heavies, right? Like talk a little bit about how special it is to have that stable of talent, and give us a glimpse inside those drills from your perspective as the coach.
Yeah. I feel like you got to train towards the rule set. So NASCAR is a 2-point kick, and that's something that you guys can exploit. You can use it to your advantage, or it could go against you. Like 10 seconds could be gone, and you're 4-0 or 6-0 that quick. So we got to do a lot of situational drills and give it to the guys in real time and really make them hustle for it and try it out and see who, what, when, why, how can we use this? Depending on who you're fighting, what should we do best? What's the best way to do it? And then we do it on both sides. We have people that are trying to get the points back, and we have people that are trying to close, because closing is not always easy with 10 seconds. How many times you see people fumble and was up by this amount of points and give up a big lead, but again, the 2-point kicks rules in NASCAR, we got to train for that. So situational drills are very important. I encourage all young fighters up and coming to practice all situations that you could think of. Think of all the situations. But yeah, we're one of the few dojos that are blessed with a lot of talent. You said James Poor, Diamond winner. You got Anthony Merricks, has several overalls. Paris Wilson, a lot of people forget about Paris, who was in the Justin Ortiz era. He has overalls, NASCAR titles. Kodak Ray, Sheldon Ray, all these Diamond winners and stacked up people from the camp are here giving Tyson advice. If they're not training anymore, they're giving them advice, but some of them will come in just for their attributes to be used. Like I brought Paris in, and listen, I don't know, get off your couch. I need you to come in and I need your legs for a minute. And a guy can come in and still kick at him and do whatever we need to take for that drill. So we put ourselves in a lot of different situations, and we're blessed to have the talent to execute. And Darren, I can't forget about Darren, man, formerly known as Darren Kareem Abdullah. He's the youngest Warrior Cup winner, from my understanding, and he's another one, right? Yeah,
to my knowledge.
Yeah. Darren was 17 when he got it, unbeknownst to NASCAR, but yeah.
And obviously, after the events of this weekend, we'll probably see a little bit more of a crackdown on that. But we won't get into that on this podcast.
Yeah.
What this podcast is about. But anyway, but no, I love getting that kind of glimpse inside the stable of talent that you guys have. And again, a big tip of the cap to you, Jesse, for being able to see that talent in some of those guys and develop it and get them to this point. And that's one of the questions I want to ask for both of you is, and maybe this is an opportunity to brag about past accomplishments too. You have my permission to do so. Does this feel like anything else you've experienced? Like Tyson, can you think back to a fight that you've won that felt quite like this? And then Jesse, same thing goes for you, but Tyson first.
Honestly, so far in my career, I don't think this compares to any win. Just the excitement and the feeling. Yeah. But I did win the Irish Open as a junior, and that was like, that's probably the thing that comes closest to me winning the Warrior Cup. Just because I think at that time in my career, I wasn't. I wouldn't say I wasn't sure, but I don't think I was aware of just actually how good I was compared to the rest of the world. And Irish Open was is the biggest competition in the world, especially at that time, 2019 and 2018. So me winning in 2018, I think I fought Jason Latono, who was probably like the best junior at the time. He was going crazy. I fought
Megan.
No, I didn't.
Buckley.
I fought a few people. I fought somebody from Corrali. But I just remember being at the Irish Open and seeing on YouTube and just seeing how prestigious and big of an event was. So the fact that I was able to win in my first year, without like real knowledge of, how the tournament is ran, actually how many amount of people was actually there. that feeling was insane. So that's definitely one of the only events that maybe could come close to winning a World Cup. But winning a World Cup was a totally different feeling that I can't explain.
Sure. I love it. By the way, Roy Baker, if you're watching this, we need the Irish Open back, man. I know we got stuff going on with the hotel and what's going on over there, but we need the Irish Open back, my man.
Yeah, I spoke to him about it too. He's working on it.
Probably my favorite tournament of all time.
Tyson won it back to back.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he won, and they usually say you can't win on the first one. He won the junior. No, he won the
13 to 15,
13 to 15, and the
16 to 18,
16 to 18, back to back. I don't know if that has been done before.
Oh wait, that means you won 16 to 18s when you were 16 too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I think he was 15.
I was 15. Yes, sir.
Because you could go up. You could legit go up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the year 2 years ago when Darren won the cup, Tyson won the lightweight overall and lost to Cam, and then Darren beat Cam. So we was knocking on the door. This is only his second time in Chicago
in the men's division.
In the men's division,
right?
But I think Tyson was the most decorated junior of all times. We got to check Bailey's stats. I think so. WKC. He got the 2 Irish Opens. He got ISKA. He won the title in Jamaica. He won the NASCAR anytime he popped out of there. So, yeah.
Crazy. That's a crazy resume. And, I was watching Tyson. I still remember
BFT, undefeated.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Undefeated.
But I still remember, when I was still competing, I'd go and watch, that teenage fighting ring back. You'd have fights with Jason. I think you had a few with Enrique when you were that age too. I think the age gap wasn't big enough or something. And then I know you fought Alex back in the day. Was it a little too much? Maybe it was.
He was like one age group above me.
Yeah. Alex was with Darren. That was with Darren.
Darren?
Yeah.
I never fought Alex until I went to the men's division.
It was Tyson.
Well, obviously, my whole memory of when I was
the funny thing is, I think Boomba was in there I think Mason Boomba was in there like if he just turned the age, Tyson be on his way out.
Yes, sir.
Something like that.
I fought Mason pretty often. It's like after a certain month, it was just I think diamonds. I just always fought Mason. And the few tournaments after that, and then our ages were just kind of separate.
And Liam North was in Tyson's division. Yeah, those people.
Awesome, cool.
Well, yeah, man. So what was it about? It was about that was my question.
Well, yeah. So Jesse, it was just kind of generally can you think about anything in your career, whether it was you as a fighter or you as a coach? Anything that feels quite like this, or is this kind of a unique mountaintop of its own?
Yeah, for me, this was definitely a big milestone. I mean, I have a lot of big moments, but they all feel different. When my students win, I feel the same. I feel like I won. James winning his thing, Kodak winning his diamond. Us winning teams, beating Paul Mitchell from back in the days. Me, Jotty, Hector Santiago beating Paul Mitchell, which was Pedro, Mike Pombero, I think, and Reggie. That was big. Yeah.
Crazy.
And then, my individual accolades, winning at the U.S. Open, winning at Battle of Atlanta multiple times. Things like that. But this one definitely felt different. Tyson's my son, and to see him grow up and now putting things together in an adult way is just amazing to watch, and it felt good. It was beautiful, and his family was there. His uncles, my nephews. So this one felt a little different because of that family vibe or whatever. But yeah, I'll put this up there with some of the other ones.
For sure.
for sure.
And one of the cool things, because you mentioned James and Kodak's rings, I got to point out, of all these major titles won by different individuals of your students, it was never, because, sometimes like somebody will get a major, but it's because like somebody didn't show up and somebody went on a run, right? But all four that we've talked about so far tonight are legit major wins. Kodak over Zolt, right? James over Jack Felton. Tyson over Avery and Kevin in the semifinals and finals, right? And then Stacks up against Cam. Like, we're not talking about like we just showed up to a major and then the stars aligned and everything worked out. This is like you went to a major and you beat guys at the top of their game that either had multiple of that title already or have been chasing that title themselves for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So that just adds even more legitimacy to the that we're talking about.
Yeah, you couldn't go around through the back door, man. You got to go straight through. And this weekend again, like Avery is a decorated competitor, who I love to watch. I definitely would love. I wish some way somehow we could have hooked up together, in the career. And Kevin is another decorated fighter that's traveling all over the world and doing things on a big level. So yeah, to beat those two guys is an honor. And you know what? Those guys are so have so much class. They show a lot of respect. Said good things to Tyson, but definitely let them know that they're gunning for him.
Definitely.
Awesome. And the other thing, talk about class. I mean, the Facebook post that Richard Plowden made after the fight, kind of Jesse putting you on talking about what you've done. I also just want to give you a chance publicly to kind of respond to that, because it was really cool to see that interaction unfold.
That touched my heart, man, because it's rare that you compete against somebody and they give you respect, public respect like that after. Most people keep the rivalry thing going, but that's it's still a rival, like friendly, but for him to show me some honor and respect like that publicly was like so classy, man. So I want to thank Mr. Plowden publicly, and it's somebody I respect, somebody I watched as a kid, somebody I grew up, somebody I almost fought one time when I was on Metro, and the coach looked at me, and Joey Rivera and Plowden was up, and he sent Joey in. So I was like, all right. But that's an honor, man. That's full circle. Sometimes you grow up watching these people, and you like, they don't know who you are, and then eventually they know you, and then you're friends, and then now they're giving me the utmost respect. It's a great feeling, man.
That's awesome. And we've already started backtracking down memory lane a little bit, but anytime I get somebody new on the show, which Tyson, I know we've had Jesse on, but I don't think we've had Tyson on. So we got to go back down memory lane. And this is another one that I want to hear both of your perspectives. But Tyson, we'll start with you. How'd this whole karate thing start? I know you were destined for it because of who your pops is, right? But what do you remember about those early days getting on the mats and kind of figuring out that you were going to be a point fighter?
It's crazy. All my uncles and teammates always say that I was born in a split. So that's just honestly how destined the sport was for me. But started at about 2 years old. I just remember my uncles always just showing me kicks, holding me, making me throw side kicks, and we would just sit in the living room. They would just watch their film and always just kind of showing me the direction that I was gonna be headed into in the future. I just remember being on in the dojo, sitting down on the side, just watching all the adults train and do jumps and do kicks and spar, and I just always kind of just wanted to aspire to be like them. But yeah, I remember I used to be in the 3 to 6 year old class, which is kind of the baby class. I was a white belt, and then I just remember after my class I would go sit on the side, and then the bigger kids class would start, the 7 to 12 year old class. And then I remember anytime they sparred, I would always go to my dad and be like, "Dad, can I fight?" And 9 times out of 10 he said no one time, but 9 times out of 10 he said yes. I put on my equipment. I probably was a white belt or yellow belt, and and I would go out there and fight the big kids. And I actually almost all the time held my own. So it became like a little joke. But my teammates would be like, "Dad, can I fight?" Just kind of playing around with me. And then
if you come around some of our older students, they'll come. You'll hear a joke, "Daddy, can I fight?" They all say that to this day.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's some of like my prime memories as a kid. Just coming up through the sport, learning karate, just even learning my basics and my katas. Seeing Anthony Merrick's win like every local and like weapons and forms. All that was honestly inspiring me throughout my journey, and just seeing my uncles would like win championships and just the energy throughout the weekend, seeing them fight Paul Mitchell, Full Circle, all that kind of just felt like a movie to me. Seeing Raymond Daniels and all these Jotty Tension, Ross Levine, all these big time guys, they definitely inspired me, to become great.
I love it. And by the way, there's that little Anthony Merrick's forms and weapons reference in there. If you haven't seen Anthony Merrick's do Japanese forms, it is awesome. It's like the old NASCA traditional forms.
Yes, sir.
Not the new WKF stuff that my wife does and all that, but like what NASCA traditional forms used to be.
Right.
Anthony Merrick's had it down, man. I think I competed against Ant a few times in traditional.
Yes,
definitely,
sure.
Definitely.
Sure.
He did it every tournament.
Yeah, shout out to him, man. But anyway,
y'all did traditional bow against each other at one tournament. I remember.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, shout out to Ant. And then Jessie. So you're the one that's watching Tyson, running around in diapers trying to fight people, right? So tell us about this journey from your perspective and how Tyson got started.
Out the womb, we were stretching them, getting those legs loose or whatever. Tyson was in a split club back in the days in the school. But I say 3 years old is really when it clicked because we was at I had summer camp one year and I used to try to get him to join the class and he didn't want to. He wanted to, but he didn't want people, watching him. So summer camp, we had like these relay races. And we went to one of these parks where the different boroughs in New York was racing. Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, and Staten Island. And Queens. So we all had shirts. And I said, "Hey, you want to run?" And he got on the line. It was the first time. And then he ran the race. So after that, like around the same time as when he started getting on the floor. And joining the class. So I think that kind of got his confidence together as far as like doing stuff in front of people. And from there was off to the races. I remember we were talking about this the other day. We had like a school team fight in a local gym. And it was like a battle of the dojos type of thing. And the other schools, the youngest person they had was 7. And I had 2 small kids, Tyson and John. Tyson was 3, John was 4. And the only kids they had was 7 and 8. So Tyson, I looked, my heart said, "Don't do it." His mother looked at me like, "Don't do it." And but they sent out their 7-year-old, and the next person I had probably was like 10. And I looked at them. I was like, "You want to fight?" It was like I sent the man, and he won the fight against a big 7-year-old. I mean, he fell. He was all over the floor. The kid was coming at him, and him and John ended up winning their match. And that's why I knew, like, this kid is gonna be special. He's gonna be special, man. He got the heart. He got the grit, and he was like looking at me like, "Put me in." And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get killed when I get back home." But yeah, so that was the defining moment. And there's one more moment, if I may say. We was at Gerald Dawson's tournament. Rest in peace, Gerald Dawson. There was kids sitting at the kata division, right? Everybody was running around playing. This is the 3 years old, whatever. Tyson was sitting in the Cesar position, like this, not moving, like full on Japanese discipline and just sitting there until they called his name. And a few people tapped me like, yo, look at your boy. He's going to be different. I think even Gerald was like, yo, there's something special right there. White Gi sitting in Cesar position, like not moving, just waiting for them to call his name. Every kid around him playing, running around, that was something too. That was like, I think we got something special here.
That's cool. And those are moments that only dad's gonna pick up.
I don't know if you heard me yesterday.
Yeah.
Esteban was in his division.
Yeah, it's crazy. Actually,
Tyson beat Esteban in traditional forms.
Yeah, it was like intermediate.
And like intermediate. So Esteban, sorry, man. We got one on you, man.
That's wild. I love it. And so Tyson, like, I love the stories from your pops about like, sitting in that position and being so disciplined, right? And then for you personally, though, as you start like, traveling the circuit and starting to get a little bit older, and I think every martial artist can think back to like, yeah, I remember starting martial arts as a little kid, but like I didn't really know what I was doing, right? You're just going out there and having a good time. So Tyson, what was the moment for you where maybe it was a tournament one day and it clicked and you realized that you could be one of the best, that you weren't just doing it as a hobby, you weren't just doing it because your dad got you into it, but you were doing it because you actually could be one of the best in the world? Do you remember when that switch flipped and you had that realization?
I think honestly, I think it was when I actually got my first loss. In the division. I think I lost to I think it was Jason Latona. Oh, Miami 2017. I lost to Jason Latona in 14. I think it was my first year in 14-15. And I think that was my first loss in maybe a year. Like I don't think I lost to anybody before that in a really long time. Remember Jason kind of came. Everybody was kind of telling me about this kid. Like he was pretty good and you're going to have to fight him. I'm like, all right, I'm not even worried about him. Just because I was, kind of being everybody else, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be something regular. And then he kind of whooped my behind. And I'm like, oh man, I got to get that back. Like I just had that, that fire, when you take a loss, it kind of came to me. And then he beat me again the next day. I was like, oh man, yeah, I'm coming for this kid. Like there's no way I'm letting this go without, I'm coming for this kid. So and Miami was like November. It was like at the end of the year in 2017. So I remember the next tournament was AK Warrior Cup, actually 2018. So I remember I came back. I was training for him. I was watching videos. I think I watched that fight 100 times. And I came back AK Warrior Cup and I brought it to him. And I actually beat him. And I think that was like the first time I really seen like, yo, you got something in you that, not a lot of people have. And, you definitely could be one of the best just because, I prepared for that moment and I executed. And that was the first time that, I actually prepared. I had a game plan. And it was like, it felt like we was actually playing chess, during that fight. And I think that was the first time I actually seen, myself progressing and like, yo, you one of the best.
We got that on film and everybody was there watching that fight. It was like adults. Everybody was there watching that fight. That was a big one. Yeah, Tyson was running through the division. And if somebody say, yo, how'd you do? And you say you didn't win, everybody's like, what? Who'd you lose to? Like, so that was a good loss for him.
Mm-hmm. Sure. That's awesome. And that's another great story that is a good lesson for people to take home from watching this show is that like sometimes the biggest thing you can point to that like changes your career is a setback, right? And how Tyson, you bounced back from that. You started to learn how to make the game more of a chess match, as we've already talked about in the show, is such like an underrated component of it, right? And so I think that's a beautiful lesson to be learned for especially any young martial artist tuning in. And since we're talking about kind of your growth as a competitor, obviously we've talked about kind of the stable of athletes that, your pop's been able to produce. But just tell us, other than him being your dad, like, what do you think is it about this guy? What makes him a special coach? Is it the attention to detail? Is it the level of investment? A little bit of everything. Like, to you, what stands out as, what makes your dad special compared to other coaches in the game?
One thing that he knows how to push you. One of his favorite phrases is that nothing grows in the comfort zone. So he knows how to make you feel uncomfortable. And that's one of the things that, kind of push you forward and help you grow. He's very good at that. So say I just, I might take a day off training, even if I've been training for 2 months straight, didn't miss a day. That one day, he's definitely sending you a text, he's giving you a call, where you at, you slacking, he's sending you a whole paragraph, like, what are you doing? Like, so that's definitely one of the things that he does to all his players that, kind of pushes over the edge, besides, his great coaching and, his great calls throughout the ring. And I will also just say kind of his eye for the game, truthfully. Just, he can see talent, he can see, potential, and he doesn't give everybody the same game. So, for example, like Anthony Merrick's has a great body punch. My dad knows how to, exploit that, and he makes him believe in his body punch. And Anthony, to me, has, one of the best body punches ever. So I think just finding what people are good at in that game and just kind of exploiting it to the next level. For sure.
Unintended.
No pun intended.
Right.
And then Jesse, any kind of response to that? Obviously,
I appreciate it, but a fighter could easily get distracted and go off task. Like, I remember the camp I came up with was brutal, man. And I remember, I think Ross, right? Ross called Jotty one day, was like, yo, I won. I'm not sure if it was the Diamond or Warrior Cup, whatever. And this is how we came up. He called all happy, yo, I just won. Jotty was like, yo, congratulations, good job. Now go do it again. Now do it again. So that's the camp that I come from. And it's easy to celebrate. It's easy to get distracted. But that they wasn't lying when it says it's hard to stay on top, because everybody's studying, everybody coming after you, and everybody's gonna try to get better. So you can't stay at the same level. You got to continue getting better. You got to continue sharpening your sword. You got to continue developing and tightening those loose screws. We all have loose screws somewhere. You just got to keep tightening it up. You can't stay at the same level and you can't go down, right? Because if you stay at the same level, everybody else is gunning. They're going to come up. So we just got to be prepared. So I never want my fighters to get in that comfort zone, like, yeah, I won this, I won that, or whatever. No, we got a lot of things to win, especially the younger ones. So, and it's easy for that to happen. It's easy for Tyson to be high off this weekend and be like, and stop training or whatever, and then he go back out there, and he didn't get no better. He didn't keep his tools sharp by putting any work in. So now we go out there and you may get a loss to Joe Blow, and you just came off the Warrior Cup. So it's very important. And the good ones, once you turn that page, it's like, all right, we're on another level. We like it here. We want to stay here, and we're gonna defend it at all costs. Bailey is very good at that. Barely come off a win. Today, tomorrow, you'll see him in another country sparring with the school and teaching seminars. So, like, that's the level of commitment and a little bit of psychoticness for people that are in that small winning bracket. I mean, consistency bracket. They have that, man. They will do whatever it takes to stay there. So, yeah, I try to push my fighters, but definitely I can't train everybody the same because everybody has different attributes. Amir's a kicker. James got good footwork. He's fast. Tyson has a great mind. Anthony is a finesse guy. He's a big dude, but he's finesseful. My Sheldon is like a bulldog, like a bully. So he can kick, he can punch. So we all got different things, and it's my job to identify that and make their thing better, in the best way I can.
Beautifully said. And I think that's the perfect segue to one of the last big questions that I've got for Tyson, talking about how, once you get that big win, getting back in the gym and focusing on what's next or doing it again. So Tyson, in your mind, obviously next time you go out, you want to get out there and win again. But in terms of like your career timeline, what's that next big thing that's on your mind? Is the goal to go back and stack up Warrior Cups? Do you want to get that diamond ring check off your list? Like what's the next big thing that's on the horizon for you? What are your sights set on?
I got a few things. Diamond ring is definitely one of them. I have been having my eyes on it. For the last few years, I just couldn't make it. I think we went overseas a few times. It just didn't work out last few years. But diamond, definitely one of the things I want to check off in my career. I want an American title, open weight. I want that belt. So that's definitely another thing that I want. Just because it's like I've seen my uncles win it. I've seen James win it. I've seen the last few like people win it, and those are just one of the things I've seen as a young kid.
Anthony.
Yeah, I've seen Anthony win it, and those were like honestly like last man standing type of matches. It wasn't like a lightweight overall, a heavyweight overall. It was one overall.
Everybody.
And I've seen most of my team win that, so that's definitely something I want to check off the list. And then honestly, I want to win everything. I want to win everything, but I also want to win a WACO title. I went to the WACO World Championships. Was that 2 years ago? And I came up short in the minus 69 kg division to somebody from Hungary. So this year, I plan to make the team and win my first WACO title under my weight category. But honestly, I want to win everything. Anything I go to, I plan to win, and I plan to go into everything. So I plan to take everything.
They did get the WACO team. I think from what everybody told me that they're the first U.S. team to win the WACO Worlds through the Raymond era, through everything. Tyson, Tyreek, Bailey, and Devin.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yep. So yeah, a lot of huge career accomplishments already for Tyson. I love that, nugget about, the dominant junior career that he had, because that's something that I think a lot of people that are maybe new to the sport or whatever, they wouldn't recognize that right away. And even I appreciated the reminder about some of the wins that he stacked up already. Then, of course, the historical significance of that WACO team title. And so I know everybody tuning in, Tyson, will have our eyes on you and be looking for you to check all those goals off of your list, because we know that you're capable of it.
Sure,
and Jesse, this is maybe a little bit of a rougher segue, but I know something that's on your horizon is going to be the Buckeye Open on March 1st, right? So tell us a little bit about what you're excited about for that event, and remind everybody why they should be registering so they can try to be a part of that VFT special pickup match, and then, of course, why they want to get picked by you.
Absolutely. So March 1st, Buckeye Open. I just got to clear up because a lot of people are getting confused and messaging me. Mm-hmm. There are a couple events that weekend. You got the WACO tryouts for Team USA adults. Tyson will be trying out for that. After he's finished, he's going to walk over to the other arena to the Buckeye Open. All right. Separate tournament. There's another tournament there, the Comite Classics, that has nothing to do with the Buckeye Open. These are all separate events. All right. So the Buckeye Open, why should you be there? It's Arnold. It has a long history with the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classics. It's been there I think over 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. Myself and Robert Leclerc are the promoters. It's a NASCAR event. I believe it's a 3A. So we'll be having all those divisions that you're used to doing. And the featured event is going to be a VFT pickup team. What that is going to be I'm coaching one team, Robert Leclerc's coaching the other team. We already got some hot fighters that committed. I got Devin Hopper committed, Tyreek Saint committed, Darren Payne committed, Tyson Wray committed, Bailey Murphy committed. So these are the teams that guys can be your teammates. So make sure you come over. We're going to do a pickup team. Again, if you're doing WACO trials, fine. Do your trials. Come over. The WACO schedule is out. You guys go in the morning. All right. So we'll probably be going about 1 p.m. So you got plenty of time to compete and come on over and do the pickup team. All are welcome. Men, adult men, and adult women. That's the criteria. All right. If anything changes, if we have something for juniors, I will let you know. Follow Jackson's, follow Sport Karate Zone, follow VFT, Virtual Fight Tour on Instagram and Facebook for any updates. And you can register on Uventex at the Arnold Classics. If you go on Uventex, you'll see a link for it. Get yourself registered and hope to see you there.
That's awesome. And anytime Sport Karate Zone post about it, we also have that registration link available for you guys when we post it on Facebook, where it's easy to put the link in there. And the other thing that I want to make sure that we emphasize while we're talking about Buckeye Open is like the respect that Jessie and Mr. Leclerc have, for the WACO Nationals and that qualifier, and allowing fighters like, hey, you guys go do your thing, do your qualifier. Yes. Tyson's going to be doing the qualifier, yes. And then we'll go over and we'll do our thing. So that's something that, sometimes when there's, multiple events going on in the same place, that there can be, all the drama and stuff that happens. But I got to give a ton of respect to Jessie and to Sensei Leclerc, I guess Saban Leclerc, for putting this together and making it so that the fighters are able to do both. I think that's a huge sign of respect from you guys.
Go where you want to go. Come to us over. Come to us after.
Exactly, right? And then we also got to give a big shout out, of course, as you guys have noticed from Sport Karate Zone, we have partnered with the Buckeye Open for some promotion. And then, of course, Century is a platinum sponsor of not only Sport Karate Zone, but also a platinum sponsor of the WACO Nationals themselves.
Yes.
So the WACO Nationals, Buckeye Open, our family at Century is invested in both of those events. And, of course, Jessie, appreciate you reaching out and making stuff happen on the Sport Karate Zone side. But yeah, it's a great event to go support. And the thing that I tell people all the time about sport karate, and it won't be this way forever, but in this era of sport karate, what makes sport karate so amazing for people to get involved in is it is one of the only sports where you have this much access to the professionals. This is literally an opportunity with this virtual fight tour pickup team where you can fight alongside the people who are the best in the business, Warrior Cup champions, Diamond Ring winners, whatever title you want to name. Those are the type of people that you're going to be lining up with if you get selected to join this pickup team that you just heard Jessie Wray say it, right? Any adult male, any adult female, come and put some gloves on and we'll see if it works out for you, right?
Yes.
Sport karate is the only place that happens. You can't go and lace up and play basketball with LeBron whenever you want to. You can do that in point fighting. You can do that in sport karate. So I can't stress enough how cool that is.
Absolutely. For one more thing, though, for my amateurs, not amateurs, but my black belts. Aside from my featured, I should even say seeded fighters, you do have to register for a division to be able to do the sport karate pickup team. So make sure you register for, your fighting division. Take care of that. The people that I named, of course, we got you. Y'all ain't got to worry about that. But everybody else, make sure you go register for a division, whatever your weight class is. Do that, and then automatically you can compete in the pickup team for free.
Right. I love it. That's awesome. And then Tyson, I got to ask you a fun one. Are you hoping your dad picks you up, or you want to go against his guys and try to beat him?
I hope he picks me up.
Hey, Leclerc told me you better hope I don't get the first pick.
Oh.
It's going to be interesting.
That's awesome. I'm excited to see it. And by the way, I've been talking to Jessie. So for all the Sport Karate Zone fans, make sure that you're tuning in. Where I think details are still getting figured out for if it's going to be how they're going to be doing the Uventech stream. But there will be streaming of that event. So make sure you're tuning in live to see it. And then also stay tuned after the fact to see what Sport Karate Zone might have for you too. But definitely whatever live stream comes at you, of course, if it's a pay-per-view, Jackson Rudolph's always going to tell you support that pay-per-view because it's how we grow the sport. And if it doesn't wind up being pay-per-view and it's just available to you guys, enjoy it. Feel free to enjoy that blessing of getting it for free. Jessie, do we have official word on which way that's going to go yet? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm going to let you know definitely by the end of the week, and you can announce it. So I'll just send it to you or whatever and let you know by the end of the week. I'm going to make a final decision. Still swaying, but yeah, I think we're going to – because this is going to be a nice, fun event. So, I kind of want people to tune in and enjoy it. Maybe we'll play a numbers game, and I don't know. We'll see.
Gotcha. Understood.
Stay tuned.
So, yeah, stay tuned. Sport Karate Zone. We'll have the full updates on exactly how you can watch that. And like I said, when this stuff comes up for any sport karate event and it winds up that there might be some little fee attached to it, there's not a whole lot of money in this game. So if there is something like that attached to it, it's just to help this sport keep our world going round, right? So I don't want to see anybody on social media rolling their eyes over any fees you got to pay for anything. Sport Karate Zone's free, so you can always enjoy that, right? And so when you have the opportunity to enjoy something like this, just make sure that you make that sacrifice and do it because it's good for the game, and that's what Jackson Rudolph's always going to tell you. But anyway, so thank you so much to both of you, Jessie, Tyson.
Thank you. Thank you.
The show. This has been great. Tyson, one more time, congratulations, man. We know this is a huge deal for you, and I want to give you guys the floor one more time for any closing remarks.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor. Thank you for having us on the show. Yeah, we'll see what the future brings for Sport Karate Zone and for us.
I went back and watched that stream, and man, Jackson, you don't miss. Ladies and gentlemen, Jackson does not miss. You are one of the top commentators, if not the top commentator of sport martial arts. And I want to give you your flowers while we're here and have that moment because the way you bring, and you have a strong voice, the way you bring your commentary in is just so professional. But everybody was great. Mallory, Joey Perry, excellent job. And I had non-karate people watching from where we grew up at. And that's what they told me. They said, yo, the commentators, like the guys that are talking about it, and these guys are non-karate people, they gave y'all a lot of credit of how the understanding, having understanding, just tuning in, watching, trying to see him. So that was awesome.
That means a lot to me. Thank you so much, Jessie. I appreciate it. And thank you guys again for your time. And a final thank you to everybody tuning in to this episode. It's been a real special one. And I know that we've been on and off a bit with the Jax Rudolph podcast. We've been bringing you the clean truth. We've been bringing you kick chicks. We've been bringing you crossover episodes. But we're going to try to get a little bit more consistent over the next few months with the JRP here. So thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. Thank you one more time to Tyson and Jessie for you guys' time.
Thank you.
This has been episode 136 of the Jax Rudolph podcast, and I'll see you next time.